All right, I'm going to do a quick look at this. It wants me to continue. Okay. Just do a quick roll call. So Ed,
Here.
Jeremy,
Yep, here.
Christine,
Here.
Amanda,
Here.
Bob,
Here.
and Newton.
Here.
All righty. I guess I'll turn it over to you, Christine, for your fun and exciting things you sent us.
Let's go through the appropriation transfers first.
Okay.
And we're
That
just
what Nick sent?
Yes, I believe he sent these to you over the weekend. Okay. So the first one we'll be discussing tonight is cemetery salaries transfer into cemetery operations. And that's due to an increase in burial services over the past year, and that's requested for $4,000. The next one we're looking for an appropriation transfer is highway operations to tree salaries. And that's due to multiple windstorms requiring tree work, same as highway operations to tree operations. If you'll recall, last year we had that microburst, which really put our tree budget behind.
So
The first request on that is 2,500, and the next is, I'm sorry, 500, and then 2,500.
So Christine, question, are these just adjustments to the budget as opposed to reclass entries?
I don't know what you mean by reclass entries, but yes, they are just
Yeah.
appropriations. We cannot, unlike the schools, they can transfer from salaries to operations without any sort of paperwork. We are not allowed to do that. So if we're going to transfer anything from operations into salary, we have to have both the approval of the Warrant Committee and the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, so originally they were charged to the incorrect account, is that correct?
No, we don't have enough money in the current in the salary, like for example, in tree salaries, we don't have enough money in there. Instead of going to the reserve fund, we have money available in highway operations. So we'll just transfer from one account to the other.
It's like we're allotting what they have available as a turn back, but instead of them turning it back, they're going to spend it in a different line item.
Okay,
It's like they're under budget in one line, but over budget in another. So they just want to take some of the money that they were under budget on and spend it here instead.
And for the school department, I know because that's your background, you don't need that permission. You're allowed to do that without any approval.
So unlike a reclass, they were charged to the right account. They're just in the red. A
Yeah.
reclassification is if you charged to the wrong account by accident or something.
so they're charged to the red, so they overexpended their particular line item budget.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
all this does is increase the budget for that line item
And decrease another.
and decrease another. So it's basically
It's
a
a flat
budget.
change.
It's changing the budget amount, not the actual.
It's right,
Yeah.
not the bottom line. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, yeah, you're right, I'm used to it in the school side.
I know.
Yeah.
It's much easier on that side.
Yeah,
There's a request for a transfer from equipment repair operations to solid waste salaries. That's in the amount of $8,000. There is a request from equipment repair operations to solid waste operations in the amount of $35,000. There's a request from facilities operations to facilities salaries, and that request is $3,900. There's a request from fire salaries to fire operations, and that's in the amount of $10,000. And I'm actually going to take off the request from the police operations to police salaries tonight. Based on our final payroll for today, we were able to meet the salary budget. There was no extended overtime over the weekend. So the total request for tonight is $71,400.
Okay.
So Christine, that the one on the equipment repair operations for 35,000, just because of the amount. Was there an expectation on repair, or is that?
No, let me actually promote Mo to give you a breakdown on this.
Yeah, that'd be good, because that's a bigger number. That's I'm just curious.
Good evening, everyone.
Hey, Mo.
Hi, Mo.
Hi. So last year, we moved all of our equipment repair budget from solid waste, cemetery, highway, all into the equipment repair budget. So we consolidated everything together. What I found out over the course of the year is that some of that money was used for household hazardous waste. And we do household hazardous waste with many communities that allows our residents to go to different communities, and then we get billed afterwards. But all that goes into the solid waste budget. Unfortunately, that money that was transferred out used to subsidize the budget because we didn't have, I found that we didn't have enough in buildings and grounds line item in that solid waste budget. So we took too much money out of solid waste last year to put it into equipment repair. So I'm trying to, through the budget request this year, I created line items in solid waste and transferred some of that money back. So this household hazardous waste came out of there. So there's about 20,000 there, plus equipment repair and different things that should have gone into equipment repair went back into solid waste, even though there was no line item for it anymore. So it was kind of a communication error during the year, but we got it straightened out. It's just, I could take all those invoices and put them back to where they should be, but I figured it would be a lot easier if we just did a transfer of the money for this year and it'll straighten itself out for next year.
So it's just basically taking the experience of the year and just kind of getting them into the right pew.
Over the last 30 years, it was done this way, and I'm trying to change it to try to make it better. And I kind of made it worse for 1 year because of the learning curve. And unfortunately, it shows a little different than this year, but next year it'll all be straightened out. It's just that there was tires that were purchased, there was equipment repair. And when our mechanic gives it to our clerical staff, he says, oh, that's transfer station. Well, the equipment repair budget's gone out of there. So it goes on the buildings and grounds. That's why we have a $36,000 deficit in the buildings and grounds line item. And it shouldn't be that way. And, you know, we've had a discussion, we talked about it. Like I said, there's multiple invoices that I could transfer over, but I would drive the accountant department crazy if I did that. So I'm just asking if you could transfer the money for this year and it'll straighten itself out for next year.
Okay. And it doesn't reflect any repairs that you were going to do that you're not going to do. And things
No, it's
Okay.
just a matter of where
that
the
was
money.
that was the nature of my question. Thanks.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
That's good. Does anybody have any other questions on these? Okay. Then is there a motion on the floor regarding these?
Motion to approve request at 71,400
Second,
reflected.
Okay.
I'll second.
Ed,
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes.
And I'm also a yes. Newton, I'm writing down minutes because I know that you're trying to double duty.
Yes, I am doing double duty. Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Mo.
Mo.
Okay, next, Christine.
Next, let's look at the reserve fund transfers. I do have a change to this evening, and I'll explain why. And that's what's prompting your July meeting. So let's see. To date, you've already approved the town clerk's request for $12,975. Just to let you know, we did receive reimbursement for this amount of money. But per DOR, that money has to close out to free cash. But just so you know, we covered the overage in the town clerk's budget. So that will be a wash, even though we do have to take it from the reserve funds. I'm going to ask you to hold on the Medicare insurance. They're actually texting with Georgia right now. They're finishing up the final fiscal year 21 payroll, and they will not have a number for you until later this evening. So I'd like to hold on that. I don't want to put a placeholder in. I'd like to give you the actual number. So we'll hold that till your July meeting. Conservation Commission, I have a final number for you now that we were able to finalize Leslie Willett's retirement, and the amount requested from the reserve fund on that is $10,079. And then we have a request this evening for $6,500 to cover the increased costs from town meeting and printing of the town meeting warrant.
Okay, so these, Christine, are essentially line items that are over budget that you want to charge to the reserve.
Correct.
Okay.
And unlike other departments, I don't have anywhere else to pull it from to do an appropriations transfer.
Okay, yeah, I gotcha.
Now, in your July meeting, I will ask you, I'll be looking for the final Medicare reserve fund transfer as well as a town council transfer. I know that was on your agenda this evening, but I don't have the final bills from our labor council, so I'm holding off until July for that.
So just the two, so the
two.
Conservation Commission should be $10,079
Correct,
and the town report is still 6,500.
correct.
Okay.
So a quick question, Christine, so my understanding is that the town finances are on a cash basis. So when we do something in July, what does that,
So we have until July 15th per DOR to do any of the appropriations or reserve fund transfers. You have till the first 15 days of the new calendar year, or the new fiscal calendar year.
and that would be reflected as cash in June, at June 30th? Okay.
Yep.
Thanks. Okay.
But basically, you can encumber right up till June 30, correct?
Correct.
Right, so,
Yeah. But in this case, I don't have any money to encumber. I'm looking
Encumber.
over
right, yeah, right.
Okay. I guess why don't we, just for sake of, let's just vote on them separately, I guess. Probably.
I think so.
Because I
Yeah.
assume I have to come over and sign in triplicate separately. So
Absolutely.
Nick is still having a heart attack over that. Okay. So, okay, I'll make a motion to approve the Conservation Commission reserve fund transfer for $10,079. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All right. Ed,
Yes,
Jeremy,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes.
Okay. And then I'll also make a motion to approve the town report reserve fund transfer in the total of $6,500. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Okay. Ed,
yes,
Jeremy,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes.
Okay. And are those the only things you had, Christine, tonight?
Nope, I have one other one.
Okay.
Revolving fund.
This is what I emailed over this afternoon. This is an
All right.
increase to the revolving fund expenditure limit for the Medfield State Hospital.
All right.
As you know, we set our expenditure limits annually at town meeting. If you do go over that, if we know we're going to go over that, we need to get approval from.
Brett, I do. Yes. Mike, yes. Yes. For adjournment.
It's trying to vote on both sides.
Yes.
Time to meetings today.
It's wild over here. Reserve fund transfers.
Okay.
Was I still on? I'm sorry.
You were, but it was fun. We were all in two places at once. It was all
I
good.
thought I had that going really well, but
We
oh
didn't
well.
vote on it, though.
It's all good. It's all good.
Now we have recorded proof that you were
I
literally.
adjourned that
placed
meeting.
at once.
That's right. It's all good. Okay.
All right. Sorry.
So
And
go
we're
ahead,
being
Christine.
recorded.
Just to go back, so we set the expenditure limits of our revolving funds at town meeting. If you're going to go over that expenditure limit set by town meeting, you need approval of both the Warrant Committee and the Board of Selectmen. We're currently at $99,881.60 in the Medfield State Hospital revolving fund. I know I have anticipated expenses between now and the end of June to cover in terms of groundskeeping up there. So we're asking for the Warrant Committee to revise the expenditure limit to $115,000. And I do have currently the revolving fund balance is a little over $30,000. So there is money available to cover that increase in the expenditure limit.
Because the whole 99,881 has already been charged?
That's already been spent.
No, okay, so that's.
Is it a permanent increase or just for this fiscal year?
Just for this fiscal year, we already approved fiscal year 22. We approved 100,000 as well at town meeting.
So it'll leave you with 15 grand after this in the
Correct.
reserve, right?
And then we had some revenue this weekend coming in from Coolidge Corner Theater. So we do like to replenish that fund when we can.
And were the costs higher than normal, or like is that like,
Yes, we had higher than anticipated ground maintenance costs for the property, as well as some roof repairs that had to be completed this year.
Does anybody have any other questions?
I was just
So-
curious to see in the detailed list of vendors, and it netted out to zero, but what was Eileen Sullivan's charges for? It was $6,800. It came on and off.
I think it was just an error in being included in this.
I see.
this detail.
Any other questions? Okay, do we have a motion? Anybody? Or else I can do it again.
sure, a motion to approve? Let me just pull this up. What is the revolving fund transfer?
No, you want to increase
Increase the
the
revolving.
revolving fund expenditure.
Increase,
Yeah.
yeah, by 15,000, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so motion to approve the revolving fund transfer, or the increase to
Increase.
$15,000, sorry.
Is there a second? Okay. Ed,
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Newton,
Yes.
and Bob.
Yes.
Okay. And I was also a yes. So, okay. And did you have anything else, Christine?
That's all I had.
All right. Let's talk for a second about July. I think we're down to choices for July 13th and 14th. Does that work for everybody else, or is that bad for anybody?
Those work for me.
Bob, does that work for you?
I'm not sure, but I think the 13th might. I
Might
know
be
we're,
fine.
we're heading out west for that week, but the 13th might work.
Okay. Well,
Is that
then what?
Zoom or in person?
I think that it might be hybrid potentially. If Scott actually has appointed people by then and they're around, then I think it would be nice to do it in person to meet people in person. But if people are all going to be away, we can do Zoom. I might try to do some hybrid ones and figure out how to do that just so we can actually meet the other people if they're around. So why don't you assume that you could do either?
Okay.
How's that? All right, so why don't we say the 13th, and then does August 18th or 19th, are those bad for anybody? Or is there a preference?
18th or 19th. That's okay.
19th is better for me.
Anybody else have a preference, or else we'll go with the 19th?
That's
Either.
fine. Yeah.
All right, all right,
19th
so
is
let's
better.
go
What
with
time?
them.
Are these both 7 o'clock?
I would say they're both 7 o'clock.
Yep.
So why don't we go with those? And then does anybody have standing meeting conflicts for days of the week starting in the fall?
I have a potential conflict on Monday.
What, you say that again, Bob, please?
I have a potential conflict on Monday and probably the building committee on Wednesday.
I have,
Right. 'cause of the
Conflict
day.
on Mondays now, so.
You have a conflict on Mondays now? Okay.
yeah, I get conflicts on Tuesdays.
Well, how's our Thursdays then?
Thursdays are
Affordable
fine.
Housing Trust meets first Thursday. Better
Okay.
check that. I think
What
it's
were you-
every Thursday.
What were you gonna say, Christine?
Thursdays are generally hard, but it depends on the project. So like if I'm not, you know what I mean? Like when their planning board hearings are usually Thursday nights.
Right.
It might-
Street's only like once a month usually, right, Bob? Except for it's gonna get bad.
Yeah,
Probably.
it's probably gonna get busier, but
It's probably gonna get busier.
Thursdays are good for me.
Okay.
Tuesday or Thursdays are better for me.
What did you just say? Tuesday or Thursday?
Tuesday or Thursday, yeah.
And who said Tuesdays were bad?
I
Ed
did.
has-
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you people are complicated. All right. All right. Well, we'll worry about that one later because we'll find out when our new people are free too. We might have to bop around a little bit. Okay. We have 7 minutes left before my 5:30 pumpkin. Does anybody want to chat about anything?
I have a mundane question about the minutes of May 10th. Did we approve those standing around before annual town meeting?
I don't think we have met to approve those.
Well, we sort of,
Oh, we
thought we
kind of did
did.
it while we were
Yeah,
standing
we
there.
did it. Yeah.
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
and the 17th had an agenda, but I didn't take any notes.
Oh, that's right. Yes, we approved the ones for the 10th while we were standing there. And then on the
Right.
17th, we said that you could just write up the minutes that said we approved the minutes. And then that was all it was. And we approved those while we were standing there too.
So I'll follow up with the 17th minutes.
That just says that we
Yep.
approved
Oh,
minutes.
yep.
Okay.
And then we did town meeting.
And then we did town meeting. Yes. And then that was it. So,
Were you going to give a little recap on town meeting?
well, well, that was really my way of saying, is there anything about town meeting that anybody wants to chat about? I don't particularly have a recap per se. I mean, I know there's been a couple public forums and whatnot, but there hasn't been, or at least there's been one public forum on the school since then. I don't know if people had a chance to see that. And then I forwarded the survey.
Of what the survey that you forwarded, what's your take on that?
What's my take on it? My
Yeah.
take is that I didn't know where, okay, I got the email from wherever it was forwarded from because I am not on, well, it's funny, I don't think I'm on that Dale Street Google thing. However, if you see the email that I forwarded, my email address is not on there. I thought I got sent to it as the chair of the Warrant Committee, but my name is not on there. So I think somehow I'm in that Dale Street Google group. But I did receive the email with the survey to fill out last week, but I did not get it from the Dale Street group to fill out the survey. So I do think that there are comments in it that it got sent to more than their 116 people in their survey is true. I thought it was, personally, I thought it was a kind of a weird survey when I took it because I wasn't really sure where it was going. But I think that if you are going to do a survey like that, it's not valid unless you send it to the entire town anyway. Because it sounds like they were just trying to survey the Dale group to begin with. And then it got sent to a wider audience, which probably increased its validity to a degree. But I guess that's my overall opinion on it.
Yeah, I think the building committee should be looking at that and taking from it all of the remaining questions that people have.
Yeah.
And it should be and I think gonna have to be in a position to respond to those when it comes for the meeting in the fall. So that those questions are answered in addition to whatever, their own presentation as part of it. They're gonna really have to respond to those points.
Yeah.
I guess it's gonna be, I don't know, it's gonna be tough, I think.
My personal fear about the special town meeting in the fall is that if a lot of, I don't know if it's communication or if it's trying to bring the town together to something that they can get 2/3 for. Based on what happened at town meeting, I have a very significant fear that you can't get 2/3 on anything right now.
That's going to be hard. Yeah, unless they can
So-
really put to bed some of those issues that the Dale people
Yeah.
perceive as issues.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I think my fear right now is that it's going to be really hard to get 2/3 on anything. But I think that there is a lot of time between now and then in order to be able to do that. I think that they had some decent attendance to the forum that I don't know if any of you have taken the time to, I know that Bob was there. I've watched it since then. I think that they did a really good presentation. I thought there was some really good discussion that happened afterwards. So I think that they need more opportunities to do that.
Mhm.
But I thought it was good. And I know some people that attended that it was their first time that they've ever attended it. And they definitely felt like they got answers to questions that they had from town meeting at that. So I think that if that continues in that direction, I think that it would be helpful. And I'd like to be hopeful that something will pass, because my fear is that nothing will right now, but which would be too bad.
Do we have a date for a special town meeting?
Not
In
yet.
my head, it's November, but I've made that
November.
up. I've made that up in my head, but that's just where I don't know.
Well, it's
Bob,
probably
have they
not-
said anything?
It's
There's-
probably
there's
not gonna be
anything.
before November, so it
Yeah.
needs to be before the end of the year. So I think November, so they can have the election after that within the 30 days. So I think November, December is probably the time frame.
They don't they have a deadline with the state or MSBA sometime mid-November?
They
No.
might. I'm not sure. Maybe
Okay.
that's why November is stuck in my head. But
Yes, and the timelines have been moving a bit. So there's actually a building committee meeting on Wednesday just to discuss the timeline.
Are there any other potential warrant items for fall town meeting special?
Medfield TV would like the remainder of their money that came in between publishing the warrant and town meeting. But other than that, I think the selectmen would like to limit the warrant articles to focus on the school project.
So
I
nothing
think
on the
that's a
state
very
hospital?
good idea.
No, nothing for the state hospital. And I think they've been clear since the beginning that would require a separate, we wouldn't be able to finish in one night if both those were on the warrant. So,
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
yeah, I think they both need separate attention.
Mhm.
So do we have summer reading to do, Sharon?
I mean, what I would say is, I'll kind of circle back. I mean, I know that they're going to be having these Dale meetings. So I don't know, Bob, if anything comes up in those meetings that you think that we should all read, can you just forward? I know I get copied on the materials, but I think just you and I get copied on the materials. So I'll make a point to forward those out like as they come. I figure that our summer check-ins are basically going to be to talk about that, right? And if Christine has anything pending in town, but I think that maybe our conversations are going to be more about what's going on with the school project, just so we all have an idea of what's going on.
So
No,
I don't know if any of you had a chance to watch the last selectmen's meeting. I know you were all regular watchers, but in case you missed it by some chance, the selectmen are talking about the amendments or updates that we need to make to the financial policy. It's been in place for 3 years now, and there are a few items that need some updating, some language changes, some verbiage. We will be including the test for compliance within the financial policy. That's one of the things that is not in there now and which was brought up at town meeting. So that will be included both in the financial policy and in the warrant report that goes out to everybody. So there's no question of the warrant committee as to whether or not the financial policy meets compliance. So any changes that we make, I will send a draft off to all of you to take a look at. But I would like to formalize some of the warrant committee policies and procedures as part of that financial policy. One, so that you have a written policy on reserve fund transfers, you have a written policy on your appropriations transfers. Just so everybody has it. You have 2 new members. You guys are all seasoned veterans now, but you have 2 new members coming on. So having those policies would be helpful for bringing the new people up to speed. So I think that's our summer project here. So we're hoping to have that to you by September.
Christine, in that warrant committee, the selectmen committee meeting that was held, I got confused in some of the conversations about what our final decision was on, splitting the money between the schools and the town and that whole, there was a kind of a lengthy conversation, at least from Gus, actually, I think. And is there anything you can clear up on that? Or
So I think part of the discussion is who tells the town and the schools what their budget increases can be. And I think there were some differing of opinions during that discussion, but I think the overall was, while it is the Board of Selectmen's report and we submit the initial budget to the warrant committee, it is the actual warrant committee's budget that goes to town meeting. So if there is a problem in determining what cuts need to be made, that should come from the warrant committee. And obviously, for the past 2 years, you've done that in consultation with the financial team. So I would anticipate that would be the same way going forward, but Bob is right. There was extensive discussion as to how that should continue.
So
Which
you're
date
saying that
is,
the
which
warrant
date is
committee,
this meeting that we should all watch?
so the warrant committee
Yeah.
can actually trump the selectmen? Is
It's-
what you're
well,
saying?
It is the
The
warrant.
final-
Presenting the
the
budget
bu-
to town meeting. Town meeting
Yeah.
trumps all on the
Yeah.
budget.
Yeah.
It's the warrant committee's budget, and the budget that is presented at town meeting.
Even though the selectmen may disagree with the allocation of between
Yeah.
schools and town, okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Well, this kind of goes back to the Lexington model again. doesn't
It does.
It does.
Yeah, I mean, that's never gonna be resolved.
No. And if we start talking about that now, we're gonna
No, 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 I'm
way
not
over
suggesting-
5:30 and we're already 3 minutes past. And we already lost.
I'm not suggesting we talk about it, but it just came up and I thought it was, when it comes up in discussion about the warrant committee's decisions, I think we should be aware of it.
It's-
Am
Now,
I
is that
allowed to have an
something-
open warrant committee meeting in my backyard by my outdoor kitchen
Great
with
idea.
beverages? Are we
You
allowed to
are
do that?
You're not allowed.
Well, what if we post it and I let anybody come?
Technically not a public property.
I could make it one.
The meeting you want to watch is Tuesday, June 15th.
June 15th. Okay. What if we did it on the town's easement right at the front of my property where I have like
We can talk.
And I'm done.
okay. All right. So we'll meet again on July 13th. Everybody can watch the meeting from June 15th before then, and we can vote on the things Christine didn't have. And then if
Motion
people
to
are around and we
adjourn.
can meet in person, we'll do that. But if not, we'll do Zoom. And
Are you-
Bob's
are you
already
doing
adjourning
meetings?
us.
Are you doing the minutes tonight?
Yes, I'll do the minutes tonight. I wrote it all down for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. I'll see if I can meet Newton's standards on minutes.
It'll be
Okay.
much briefer.
All right. All right. So Bob had a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second,
All right. So Ed,
yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Bob. He's frozen, but he motioned it,
Made
so
the
I'm going to
motion.
be okay with that.
I think he's yes.
Okay. And then Newton.
Yes.
Okay, and then I'm a yes, and Christine left early. So that's that. I'll see you on the 13th, and I believe we will have new members then. So all good.
Awesome. Thank you.
Night.
Everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Sharon.
Bye.